Good morning. So this week's Torah portion of Shemais, so the beginning of the parasha says, Ve'ele Shemais b'nei Yisrael abayim Mitzrayma. These are the names of the Yidden which came to Mitzrayim. We already see that in Parshas Vayigash. So why is redundant? Why is it double? So like it says, Yared Yaradnu, we had two descents, and now we have an Gam Elcha Oloi. I'm going to have two elevations. One was going out of Mitzrayim, and one was by the Gula Mitis Vashlem with Mashiach. So what are these names about? Eile Shmais. It could have just said Reuven, Shimon, and all the kids came with Yaakov, their father, and everything else. What's Shemais? So the whole idea of Shemais is we can understand through, which we say in Baruch Shama, Meshubach Mefayar, B'Shen Chasidav Avadav, Ushiridav V'dech L'Lachon Shabecha Nefa'ercha Namlicha V'Naske Shumcha Makenu Alikenu Yachid Chayelam Melech Meshubach U'Mefayar Adei Ad Shmai HaGadol. That God's name is praised Adei Ad forever. So at first, it's impossible for us to get the revelation of godliness, or else we wouldn't be able to exist. So therefore Hashem made Hashem a name. And God limited the Or, that we should be able to tap into God. How do you tap into God? That is through learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. By learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, we get the pleasure of God upon us. That's by doing Torah and mitzvahs. And like it says, the Ramban brings down that the Torah is all names of God. Which the idea behind it is you are a vessel to God's name while learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. And we can't just leave it over there in Torah, but we have to bring it down to our midos also. And that's why we say Shem Keles and Chesed, and so forth. So it has to be brought down into your actions, into your attributes also, and your characteristics also. You can't just learn Torah by itself. It has to come down to Maisa. Like it says, Gadol Talmud, greatest Talmud, Shemevi Lidei Maisa, which brings to action. So we can understand that the Shem Havaya is very great. And time of Golus, we don't see the revelation of God. As we said, that it has to be concealed. The Shem Havaya is concealed. Godliness is concealed. We don't see the great miracles as it was in the past. We don't see the great signs of God as it was in the past. Specifically in this time of Galus, when godliness is totally concealed. So just like by Matan Torah, the Yidden worked. Aveda Kasha b'chaymer uvenim. So Chaimer is the idea of learning Torah, Kal v'Chaimer. That you learn the easiest from the hardest. Or the hardest from the easiest. Leveinim is Libun Hilchasa. Learning and involving yourself in Torah and refining Torah and seeing godliness through Torah. And the whole idea that we went into Mitzrayim was the idea of Meitzarim Ugvulim. And the whole purpose of Mitzrayim was to go out of Golus. The whole purpose of going into Mitzrayim was only to receive the Torah on Har Sinai. And then our Golus, which is a Sisenu Leirayinu, by learning Pnimius HaTorah. Because the Golus Mitzrayim brought Nigla the Torah, Matan Torah. Our Golus brings the Pnimius HaTorah. Because of the great Helen. And how close we are to the time of that the godliness won't be revealed, the godliness won't be concealed anymore. And that is by learning Pnimius HaTorah. And the Etzim Pnimius HaTorah, Taimei HaTorah, the reasons of the Torah and everything else will be revealed to the fullest extent by Yishakeni Meshikis Pihu, that godliness will be like a kiss, which says Pnimius HaTorah, become one with Pnimius HaTorah with the coming of Mashiach. Now sometimes our connection to God is through Eiref. Paroi. Paroi is the Meitzarim Ugvulim, the limitations and boundaries. Sometimes we just turn away from God. And that's the worst thing we can do. Because God is talking to you and you turn away from Him. You turn your back to Him. That is Paroi. Paroi says, I don't know your God. And once we do that, we turn away ourselves from God. It can go even worse and worse, lower and lower, until that creates Meitzarim Ugvulim, more limitations and more boundaries to your system. And then what happens? You're missing your davening, you're missing every other thing too. Because you created a block, you created Meitzarim Ugvulim. And as we said before, that is, how do we accomplish it? Dafka through learning Torah. Through learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, that's how we draw down godliness in our system. And that's how we make Hashem's name too. So the Eibusher will help that through our learning Torah and doing mitzvahs b'simcha, we'll draw down the pleasure of God. Like it says regarding to Shabbos, Os Tisar Negal Hashem. On Shabbos we're supposed to have the pleasure of God upon us. And that is a taste of Mashiach. So Bez Hashem, through our service, will come to the ultimate redemption, when God's name will be revealed to the fullest extent, and we'll be able to be kalim for it, we'll be able to be vessels for it. That's through our dark galus. And we still kept Torah mitzvahs. We become a vessel to see godliness. So Be'ez Hashem, if God forbid we don't see godliness now, in this moment, the next moment will be by the Gula Amitis Vashlema, when there won't be any concealment of godliness at all, and should be taken from Yad Mamish now. Long live our Master, Teacher, and Rebbe King Mashiach forever and ever. Long live our Master, Teacher, and Rebbe King Mashiach forever and ever. Long live our Master, Teacher, and Rebbe King Mashiach forever and ever.